One time. You make me happy.
Hey, you get off my cloud.
Say it for me one time. You make me happy.
Hey, you get off my cloud. All that negativity ain't gonna be bringing me down. Just keeping positive, so model to the end. Hand out the window on the highway, riding the wind. Yep. Got scrappy in that old Kentucky playpen. When looking back now, I'm left wondering where them days went. Away went for sure, yeah, they spin. When they hates when I'm waving with that Honolulu Hang 10. I'm just doing what I want. Mountains there to climb on. Sometimes you make it, sometimes you dive on. The prize must be what you keep your eyes on. A focused mind like I studied under masters up in Taiwan. Let that truth hit you. Tunes get jujitsu. Don't bitch, dude. You lace them up if that shoe fits you. We with you. Man, sometimes you gotta fix you. But no excuses, no din-dos. Man, just lay back and turn it up. Ray, word 'em up. Working on his farmer's tan underneath the burning sun. We gonna ride this cover wagon till its last wheel. Gotta love it when the music sounds just like the grass fields. Hey, you get off my cloud. All that negativity ain't gonna be bringing me down. Just keeping positive, so model to the end. Hand out the window on the highway, riding the wind. Hey, you get off my cloud. All that negativity ain't gonna be bringing me down. Just keeping positive, so model to the end. Hand out the window on the highway, riding the wind. Hey yo, Ray. 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 Off my cloud, all that negativity ain't gonna be bringing me down. Just keeping positive, so model to the end. Hand out the window on the highway, riding the wind. Yep. Got scrappy in that old Kentucky playpen. When looking back now, I'm left wondering where the days went. Away went for sure, yeah, they spin. When they hates when I'm waving with that Honolulu Hang 10. I'm just doing what I want. Mountains there to climb on. Sometimes you make it, sometimes you dive on. The prize must be what you keep your eyes on. A focused mind like I studied under masters up in Taiwan. Let that truth hit you. Tunes get jujitsu. Don't bitch, dude. You lace them up if that shoe fits you. We with you. And sometimes you gotta fix you. But no excuses, no din-dos. Man, just lay back and turn it up. Ray, word 'em up. Working on his farmer's tan underneath the burning sun. We gonna ride this cover wagon till its last wheel. Gotta love it when the music sounds just like the grass fields. Hey, you get off my cloud. All that negativity ain't gonna be bringing me down. Just keeping positive, so model to the end. Hand out the window on the highway, riding the wind.
We're back.
Hey, you get off my cloud. All that negativity ain't gonna be bringing me down. Just keeping positive, so model to the end. Hand out the window on the highway, riding the wind. Hey, yo, Ray.
All right, how's everybody doing? Man, I don't know what just happened. Lesson to me, don't start OBS until your camera is already on. Because I started the OBS first, and then I turned my camera on, and that bad boy, he just didn't want to see it. He didn't want to see it, didn't know what was going on. He was like not having any of it, and I'm like, holy shit. I think it's one technical thing after another every time I start this damn stream, you know what I'm saying? And I hate to, you know, start a stream, stop a stream, make more streams, and But hey, every day, every week, I'm becoming a new expert on all this damn streaming stuff. You know what I mean? It's pretty fucking wild, okay? Well, how's everybody doing out there? Now, we had that intro song that was Floating Door on the intro. And he does all the techno stuff. He's a fantastic techno guy. Mixes awesome stuff. Go follow him. I'll put all of his information in the description. And then that awesome song, When I Came On, was by Roots Calhoun. And if you guys don't know Roots Calhoun, he's quite the musician. He's awesome. Maybe this music's a little bit too loud in the background. I don't know. Turn it down a little bit. Turn it down. But that was by Roots Calhoun, and he made a humdinger of a song for me. And I sure appreciate it. That's awesome, Roots. I love it. Love the song. And I love it when Matthew McConaughey goes, happy, be happy. I love that. Well, how's everybody doing today? Okay, you guys having a good Saturday? You guys getting it done, having a little bit of a let your hair down day after, Halloween last night? Were you out there with all them Halloween trick-or-treaters getting it all done and going crazy and all that good stuff? I sure hope so. I hope you guys had a lot of fun out there. I'm going to move this chat up here so I can do that, do this like right here, do this nice little pop-up chat right there. Let me move my little icon so you guys can read it. Oh, that's not it. Where's that icon? There it is. Let me move that up a little bit. Hey, I'm still just getting all this stuff lined up and getting all going. Okay, damn, what you got? King Yeti was Dracula? That's awesome, bro. I fucking love Dracula. Pat, what'd you do? Did you do anything fun for Halloween? She says it was great. I hope you guys had a good time out there. Got a good haul with the kids and all that stuff. And, I used to love Halloween, even though, my family was all super Christian. And, we couldn't do Halloween. But there was a time there before we got super Christian. And I remember dressing up like a pirate when I was like 7 or 8. And my mom would paint the mustache on me and the big black patch on the eye. And we'd go out and we'd get all that candy and all that good stuff and just have a blast. That was awesome. And then I remember we got into the church and all that stuff, and, that was boring as hell, you know what I mean? Damn, ruining all the fun. And I remember the church tried to have some kind of damn, harvest festival. Yeah, it couldn't be Halloween, but it was a harvest festival. And you couldn't dress up, but you could dress up like your favorite Bible character. And, they had the healthy candy, They took everything, and it was like they systematically went through it and ripped the fun out of it. You got what I'm saying? I was just so dang bummed about it. I was like, this sucks, man. I was like 10 or 11 looking at it. I got like a little pack of raisins and a pack of trail mix and another pack of raisins with yogurt covering them, and a stick of celery, a big clove of garlic, and I'm just crying, man. I'm crying because it wasn't Halloween. You know what I'm saying? The Spiritual God Warrior, what's up, bro? Good to see you. I'm going to pull up your chat because you are right. Halloween is All Saints Day. There are Christian aspects to it. That's 100% true. But, I was a Protestant or Baptist. I don't remember what it was, but they didn't know it was All Saints Day. They just thought it was a time to harvest and all that kind of stuff. So it was really boring. Now, there was another time. There was one other thing that I remember doing in church, okay? Of course, I went to church. I did a whole bunch of things, but this is a different type of thing. This is like a group thing, okay? They had a competition one weekend, okay? And it was the dads and the sons, okay? And it was like Royal Rangers or whatever. And Royal Rangers was like their idea of what Boy Scouts should be or something, It was like the Christian version of Boy Scouts. And so my dad and my brother and myself, we went up to compete in this thing, right? And it was like a big, huge thing. And they had all kinds of stations set up, right? You had like a BB gun and you had to shoot out, the target range or whatever. Then they had like this thing where you had to walk on a board, through this maze, a lifted board. And if you fell off, you got a, deduction of 10 seconds or whatever, And my dad, he was a carpenter, so he could walk them boards real easy, like a pro. And then they had all kinds of, like one of them you had to navigate with a compass. And then there was all kinds of these tasks that boys would like, men kind of stuff. And I remember they had it one weekend and there was 200 people showed up or whatever. And but I've always been athletic, and so is my brother. He's real athletic. He ran track in college and all that stuff. And at that time, my dad was really fleet on his feet too. And we murdered every damn competition that there was. Everyone, we fucking destroyed everybody else. Destroyed them, bro. Destroyed them. You know, loved shooting the targets. And they would give us they would give you little medals at the end. Anyway, they had these like really cool medals made up and stuff like that with ribbons and everything, and for the people who won each individual, and then for the people who won overall, and you had first, second, and third, you know, the group, you know. And so the idea was every group competed, you know, like the father and the sons, they were one group, right? And so me and my brother and my dad, we ended up just kicking ass on everything. We won all the damn medals. It was all us up there. And they never had that event ever again. That was it. That was the first and last time they ever had that event. I don't know what the hell happened, but they didn't like losing. Whoever it was that was in charge of it, our pastor, he didn't like the fact that, you know, it all went to, you know, the same people. You know, he thought that was, I don't know, boastful or prideful or whatever. I don't know, bro. But as soon as they're, one more thing. This is a different church, right? This is back when I was in Kentucky. This sums up my experience with Christian churches. So me and my brother, we were in this youth group, right? We're in high school. We go on this youth group, whatever. We were, you know, big time into it because, hell, there was nothing else to do. We were out in the country in Kentucky at this time. There was nothing else going on, right? And so we're in this youth group, right? And so the youth group's going on this trip, right? They're going to go whitewater rafting or something like that. I forget what it was. And we were scheduled to stop at all these gyms and play basketball and, you know, spend the night or whatever. And there's this big youth group. And so this is basically my experience at church in a nutshell right here. So we were in the car driving from Kentucky to Tennessee because the whitewater or whatever was in Tennessee. Or we were going to go canoeing. I think it was canoeing, and it was all these, you know, lakes and streams in Tennessee, which Tennessee does have. And it was beautiful. Tennessee is a beautiful fucking state. More beautiful than Kentucky, easily. And then Indiana is the ugly one, man. As soon as you go north of Kentucky, it just gets ugly. All right. So then we go, and we had just been driving like 6 hours to get down to Tennessee, right, from Louisville, because we were up around Louisville. In Shelbyville, Kentucky is where it was. Shelby County, Kentucky. So we're driving down, all the way down to the middle of Tennessee. We get down there, and, you know, they had a gym ready for us at a local church so that we could go and we could, like, play basketball and have a good time, you know, after the long car ride, which is awesome. So we're all excited because we're like, hell yeah, let's go. Let's play some basketball. All the guys are all pumped. We get going. We're, you know, playing basketball for about 30 minutes or whatever. And all of a sudden, the pastor, the youth pastor, in his fucking slacks and his loafers comes out and takes all the balls away and decides it's time to give a sermon. We had just driven 6 hours. We were like going crazy. We were ready to, you know, jump out of our skin because we were in the car ride for so long. So he sets us down on the hardwood floor for another hour and a half as he gives a sermon to us. And I was just like, man, fuck these people, right? Let me just play some basketball. Let me just, like, be a guy, be a kid. And, you know, I'm already locked into this, like, whole youth group thing and doing this whole thing. And, oh, man, I got a ton of other stories about the youth group. And some of them great, some of them not so great. But many of them not so great. But, you know, that's another thing. Let me go ahead and check down in the chat, see how you guys are doing. What's up? We got James out here. What's going on, buddy? Spiritual God Warrior. Hey, good to see you out there. Roquefort Macabre. Good to see you out there. Let's see who else we got. Who else we got out here? We got Pat. Good to see you. Good to see you. I'm so glad I didn't have to restart this stream, and I overcame that hiccup. I was so mad about that. Okay, so mad about that. So anyway, but that was kind of what I experienced with church. And I got all kinds of funny stories, and I've been through all kinds of churches, you know. And me and my brother we were very good kids, but we were a little mischievous. we were a little mischievous, and we always, you know, kind of rode that line. Now, you would say mischievous as in, like, you know, we snuck candy in, stuff like that. You know, we never did, like, you know, anything serious or, you know, considered sinful. We always kept it in that gray area right before it became sinful. You know, we never did anything overtly, you know, against the authority or anything like that. But we were very athletic people, you know. Like I said, my brother ran track in college, and I played baseball through college, you know. I was in the gym all the time. We were, you know, always ready to get out there and, you know, live life, experience the world. And, you know, I remember on that exact same canoeing trip, right, I had just gotten some brand new, I had just gotten, me and my brother both had just gotten brand new shoes, okay, Nikes, you know. And when you get brand new shoes, that's a big deal, especially when you're a guy, right? And I remember my youth pastor, he got all excited to roughhouse in the canoes for some reason. Like he was the only one who brought a squirt gun, and he was squirting people. And I was kind of like, man, anyway, he thought he'd be slick, and he turned over our canoe. He got all slick and turned over our canoe. And of course, I went into the water. My brother went into the water, ruined our shoes. And back then, you know, my mom, she worked, you know, hard as a dog to be able to buy these, you know, $120, $150, you know, whatever they were, Jordans or Nike Force or whatever. And of course, you know, as a guy, that's really the only thing you got to brag about when you go into school is having these shoes, right? And of course, you get made fun of if you don't got a decent pair of Nikes, you know, back then. I don't know what it's like now. I'm sure it's the same, but it's about something different. You know, maybe you don't have the right Pokemon cards or something like that, the right Digimon or the right whatever, you know. But, of course, that fired me up big time, and I was pissed off, man. I was seeing red, and I would have beaten the shit out of that guy, or at least given it a good try. But my brother held me back, and I just couldn't believe that he would just do that, you know. It was like this weird mix of this insensitivity with this authoritarianism that it just didn't sit right with me, and especially back then. And it reminded me a lot of, you guys ever watch Raylan? You guys, Justified? I love that show, Justified, with Raylan Givens and with, Boyd Crowder. He reminded me of Boyd Crowder, except Boyd Crowder had a sense to him, didn't he? He had a sense of right and wrong, even when he was being a criminal. He had a code that he lived by. And I respected that in Boyd Crowder, and I sure love that Boyd Crowder. I'm glad he's done so well, and he's just, I know it's Walter Goggins, but he plays Boyd Crowder in everything he does, doesn't he? That's so funny. It reminds me a lot of what Mersh said, you know. He does. He plays Walter Goggins in every damn thing, man. But let me take a drink of my coffee right here and check you guys out, see how you're doing. Yeah, Chuck Taylors are iconic, but I don't think Chuck Taylors are, how much were they? I remember when they were damn cheap, and then, you know, after they saw Nike making all that money, Chuck Connors started getting really expensive, man. They're like $500 now. What's up, Trips? Good to see you. Good to see you in the chat. Having a good morning. What are you up to? What are you drawing, bro? Let us know. I see you're drawing over there. Love to see it, man. Pulling your chat up on stream. I appreciate you being here. Thanks, everybody, for being here. Now, that's a really good segue, because what I'm doing right now in my 30-day challenge is we just started it, okay? It seems like every time I turn around, we got a new 30-day challenge going. And I love it because it changes, but it's the same, you know? Every 30 days changes, but it's the same. What do I mean by that? It's another way to be stoked about what you're doing. It's another way to exercise impulse control. It's another way to take control of your schedule. You know, even if you don't like something or don't not like something. And I just love doing it. And so this 30-day challenge, we're drawing what we see, okay? Landscape or interiors or whatever. It's up to you to do what you want. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do some landscape, you know, and then we're going to go outside and I'm going to film outside. I don't really know how I'm going to do it yet, but that's what we're going to do. And I got some books over here. And one of the guys, I've talked about him before, is Line and Wash, The Urban Landscape, with Neil Whitehead. And I'm going to try and get him on and talk about how he does his thing. I'm going to try to talk to him. And so, you know, we just did one the other day on Friday, yesterday, And if you haven't seen it, go watch it. It's a good one. We drew this. This is basically California Tower down in Balboa Park. And so, you know, I was thinking about Neil, this style to apply to it, you know, while we, this style to apply to it with watercolor. That's one style, okay? Now, the guy that I learned from, he's an oil painter. His name is Yim Mao Kun, and this is one of his books right here. Landscape painting. And he's Chinese. He lives in Taiwan, and he paints fantastic. Let me find, in Taiwan, it's beautiful. He paints all over the world, and he paints oil painting. This is some of his oil paintings, and these are all from miniature landscapes that he painted when he was out and about. And so here's another one. And he is a tremendous painter, and of course he paints all kinds of stuff, portraits and narratives and all kinds of stuff. And he has a little school. This is who I learned. He went through Tibet when he was in his 40s, before they closed it off. And this is a painting of a Tibetan monastery up in obviously Tibet, but China has since come in and kind of closed it off. So I'm really happy he got to go through there. Look, I got the ravens over here trying to come in the front door. I got them all right there looking for some food. Okay, I'm gonna have to give them ravens some food. I don't know. I got them sitting out there wanting food, but they'll just have to wait till after this live's over. Okay. Now, so I'm really excited about that. We're gonna do work our way up to oils this month, so that, you know, maybe you don't paint oils or whatever, but we're gonna get there. Okay, we're gonna start with pen and ink like we started with, and then we're gonna jump into watercolor, and you could do it abstract, or you could do it however you want to do it. We'll do it real. We'll do maybe a little gouache, and then we'll for the last maybe a couple of weeks we'll do those oil paintings, and I'll show you how easy it is. It is very easy. It's just a step-by-step process, and you have to be shown how to do it, or else you'll struggle for a long time. But once I show you how to do it, you'll be like, oh, of course that's how you do it. Where you been? Duh, that makes perfect sense, right? And then you'll be like, I could have done that myself, but not really, you couldn't. I mean, even I felt that way when Yim, when he showed me how to paint, I was like, oh, that's obvious. But the reason it's so obvious is because he's so good at it. He sits there, he used to smoke, he doesn't smoke anymore, but he used to smoke like crazy. And he would sit there and smoke and paint and lean back, and, you know, it looked like he wasn't even putting any effort into it, but he was putting maximum effort. And it was wonderful. And that's what we're going to do, and I'm going to show you how to do it. And I'm going to show you where you should focus on. Like, this was always my biggest question when I was working with Yim. I was always like, bro, I get, like, you're painting a picture, but how are you navigating through this picture, and how are you building it? Like, how are you deciding what decisions to make? Like, what order? I couldn't get it. And finally, I did. After watching him enough, I got it, and he told me, of course, in his broken English how to do it, or through a translator or whatever. And so I finally, you know, got it and understood. And then that's what I'm going to tell you guys, is that there's a specific process, okay? And depending on how good or how experienced you are at painting or drawing, it limits or it guides what your painting is going to look like. But if you don't know that as a person, you're going to continually become frustrated, because you're going to always be reaching further than you can grasp, and you're going to be mad. But you can make a perfectly fantastic painting by just drawing squares. You know what I mean? With the right colors. And so as you grow as an artist, you learn what to juggle. You add another ball, and it's all, you're juggling, right? And so first you just have one ball and it's drawing, and then you add another ball and it's value, and you add another ball and it's color. Then you add another ball and it's handling the oil paint, you know, and you're juggling all these balls. And then as you get good at it, you can juggle all those balls with one hand. You start getting other things, like maybe you'll become a teacher and you'll talk, or maybe you'll do go on big gallery shows, or you'll tackle other things. But it's all these things that come together, and that you learn, internalize emotionally, how to navigate, one of the biggest tactics or strategies is allowing yourself the ability to fall, because you know you can fly. Okay, so you can never fail, because when you fall, you can fly anytime you want to. And once you realize that, then you're never worried ever again. And so if you can never be worried again, then that stops the anxiety, which is the number one killer of all art, is anxiety. And it wrecked me for like a number of years. I really struggled. I'd go out and paint and paint and paint and paint, and I would just struggle and struggle and struggle and not get any better. And it would make me madder and madder and madder until I finally learned about how to forgive myself, give myself permission to enjoy. And when I realized that you have to enjoy in order to be good, you have to enjoy it to be good. You have to. If you're not enjoying it, you're never going to be good. And that is the number one indicator, okay? If you're not enjoying what you're doing, you're never going to be a master at it. You have to enjoy it. You have to have fun doing it. If you're not having fun, if you're not excited about it, if you're not always thinking about it, you're not over what you should be doing. Either that, or you have other things in your life that are stressing you, that are pulling you in too many directions, okay? And that was what was happening to me. I had all kinds of other family things and work things pulling me in all kinds of different directions, and I really couldn't dedicate what I needed my time or my focus to my artwork. And then I had high expectations because I had seen myself do great art, and then I come out and I do a landscape painting and it looks like shit, and the colors are all dirty, and I'm sitting there thinking, I just wasted like $3 of oil paint and this and that, and I was stacking all of that pressure on top of me. And I finally came to the realization that all of that is destroying my ability to enjoy it. And really, when you're painting, you should be painting in such a way that you don't care about anything but the exuberance and the enjoyment of that moment. Be damned if you spend $100 with oil paint. I know that's ridiculous, but some oil paint's very expensive. But be damned. Even if that one stroke is $100 and it pulls your whole painting together, it's worth it. It's worth it because it pulled it all together. Okay, pulled it all together, and it represents your entire thought process. And you have to get to that point, and you have to, which is difficult. Which is difficult if you're always worried about money, which I was back then. Of course, I'm still concerned about finances, and everybody wants to be successful, and that goes without saying, right? That goes without saying. But anyway, that's a big psychology, and it speaks to what we're going to talk about today in a minute. And hopefully in about 30 minutes, I'll see if there's anybody else that wants to pop on, because, hey, I got the chat working. There it is right there, the new chat. I got the overlay pulled up, the bottom chat button, and I'm all excited about that, right? So now I'm ready to pull in other people, okay? Now, there's one other guy that I want to talk about briefly, and this is Mattis Adelson, this guy who draws this book. And I got him lined up to do he wants to do an interview. I asked him if he would. He said he would. And I'm really excited about that because I love his artwork. And he's done artwork for a lot of different things. And I'm looking for a good piece in here. Here's a good one. And he reminds me a lot of Richard Scarry. If you guys are familiar with that illustrator from back in the day, he reminds me a lot of Richard Scarry. And how about this? Pirate ship. Is this perfect or what? That pirate ship, I don't know. It's going to that, looks like a Tartarian or a Russian, mansion or castle or whatever. But we're going to get him on, and I'm excited about that. And really pumped. And he said he'd totally do it. So I'm pumped, bro. And I got a couple other people artists of some stature that I'm talking to try to work it out. And a lot of them live in different parts of the world, and I love that. Like I'm gonna have a conversation with Ebai tomorrow about cartoons, and we're gonna go live with that and have a good time with that. And he's in northern Spain, of course. And I love getting these people. We got James, of course. He's in England. Shout out to James. And then we got this guy right here. He's in Central Europe somewhere. Not exactly sure where. It might be Sweden or Denmark or something like that. But I love pulling these people from different parts of the world. I got another one, and she's in Crete. Going to try and get a hold of her. And then a couple more in Asia. And I really want to get a lot of artists from Japan because everybody loves that Japanese art. And talk to them about their concepts of creativity, about workflow, about what they think about and what they're trying to achieve with their art. You know, these things that really make an impact in influencing society, because, you know, as a matter of fact, art is war. It's a war of ideas, of influence, of, concepts. It's a war of persuasion. It's a war of could be manipulation if you use it for the wrong purposes or whatever. And we'll discuss what all of that is at some point. And we'll also discuss what makes art, or, you know, good art from bad art. And I've already, dropped my idea about how art, when the term art in English is so wild because it encompasses so many things. It's like saying, you know, petroleum, right? And petroleum can be a number of things. You know, it could be crude oil, it could be, waste oil, it could be plastic, it could be, some of our medicines are petroleum based. It could be gasoline, it could be kerosene, it could be heating oil. You know, however they distill and process that petroleum dictates what kind of product it is. You know, in every barrel of oil, it's 50 gallon barrel. There's like a couple of teaspoons of jet fuel. You know, that's it. That's in that barrel of oil. And jet fuel is like art. The real art is like jet fuel. You know, there's people producing oil all over the place, but there's only a little bit of jet fuel. There's people producing art all over the place. They call it art, but only a teaspoon of it's real art. Some of it's promotional art. Some of it's, when you try to hang something on your wall just to make it look pretty, just for decoration art. You know, some of it's cathartic art, like therapy. Some of it your child does, and of course you love it, and you look at it and you say that's art, and of course it is because they're young. But realistically, when you put it against, you know, a Rembrandt or something like that, it's not art. You know, it's a process. You know, and we recognize that, right? It's not the jet fuel yet. It's still part of that, you know, crude that's being refined and processed. You know. And we don't squash those dreams. That's not what I'm addressing at all. But what I am addressing is like when you go into a gallery, right? And on the right you have like, something that's painted to look like, let me see if I can find something else in here. You got the Tibetan, you got something that looks like this on one wall. Well, you got something that looks like that on one wall. That's a representation of a neighborhood in Tokyo. And then you have on the other wall, somebody throwing up a couple of red blobs and taping a banana or something like that. That's not art. I don't care what you say, that's not art. Even if you have like some guy who, like, I've seen this, right? Some guy who's like hung from the ceiling and he like has the art or the paint in his hands, and he's swinging back and forth and he's throwing, like the Big Lebowski. You guys seen that? He's swinging back and forth and throwing the paint onto the canvas. That's not art. That's application. That's like application art or like factory art. I'm looking for the right word. I can't find it. But and they want to say, hey, look at that. That's we'll hang that on the wall. It'll be fantastic. It's a lot like Jackson Pollock. Everybody loves Jackson Pollock, but there's never been a second Jackson Pollock. You have to ask yourself, why is that? How come the first Jackson Pollock was all innovative and everybody went apeshit over it, but then nobody else came after Jackson Pollock that painted like him in the same vein that became as famous as him? My answer to you would be because Jackson Pollock was used as a change agent within society, and that's the whole point. Just like what's that? Picasso, same thing. Very much the same thing. Salvador Dali, to some extent, also the same thing. But you'll notice that as Salvador Dali got later and later in his career, he painted more and more realistic, and he still mixed it with the surreal. But early in his career, it was very crude, and later in his career, he mastered how to paint people that look like real people, and he was starting to approach art. He was painting shit, in my opinion, in the beginning. And when he got to his atomic period and beyond, and he painted a lot of other things, it became more and more art. Now, you could even make the argument that, like, a lot of his middle period where he painted the cosmic egg and other things like that were art. But I would even argue back at you that really it was, it was just a discussion of secret societies and the occult and all that kind of stuff, which is neither here nor there. But that's what we're defining when we define what great art is. Great art gives, gives back to the viewer. It doesn't take from the viewer. It gives agency, power, strength, reinforcement, encouragement to the viewer, and a resonance rather than take it. I always say propaganda takes from the viewer to give to an entity. A real art takes from the world, that you see around you, and gives to the viewer, gives to the individual, the everyman that can look at it and receive a portal or a truth or something like that. And that's real art. And it's executed in a masterful style. It's executed in a masterful style. Now, we look back at the old world style art, like you can look at like the old statues and the stuff like that, and you could tell, that old world art is still that the way that they did it, their style, their etiquette, the way that they handled the fragility, the softness, the sensitivity of art. That's what real art is. When they communicate that. You can paint a myriad of different things. Like Ilya Repin, he painted when the king had to kill his son, and that's a very, very famous painting. There's all kinds of different things to say, but you can still say it in an artistic, masterful way. It's not designed to change or destroy society, but to bolster and reinforce the concepts that make society cohesive. And that's why artists are so dangerous, because they stand against propaganda, and you gotta watch out for that. Let's go ahead and check back into the chat. All right, we got James. He's smashing through his grub. He's good to go. All right, so we'll have James on. We'll get him in here. Roquefort McCobb, he says the CIA literally paid those guys to make weird, shitty art. That's true. It's come out that in the 30s, they invented the modern art movement. 100% true. Okay, 100% true. Okay, we got, who else we got up in here to say, hey, what's up, before we go on to our real deal thing that we're going to talk about here. Do we got Ebi in here? What's up to you, Ebi? We got a big conversation with him tomorrow. Mr. Jiki, good to see you here. I got Mr. Jiki throwing up the facts. Facts, baby. That's what I'm talking about, okay? So, there's a lot of concepts that are within art. And, I almost talked about today the two different types of people in the world. And there's one type of person, which is the empathetic type of people, and that's the majority of people. Then there's the other type of people who don't have empathy. And they're more like the cluster B personality disorder, the psychopaths, the Machiavellian, the narcissist, stuff like that. And they're well adept, and they're cunning, and they use these things. They use like art, they use all these things in order to influence society and get it to go the way that they want it to go. And we're definitely experiencing that. And that's why artists are so dangerous, because artists pull people back. They remind people of the latent memories within themselves, okay, within society as a whole. And that's in all of us, in our DNA, about wanting to have a family, wanting to keep that unit together. And artists remind people of that, and they're able to shatter the illusion that this other group of people tries to cast. And that's very, very important. And that's why artists are so dangerous. And they get, they're tried to control by the government, by wealthy people. Any kind of messaging is tried to control. Even through the influence of finance, they try to suppress real artists, and they try to then glut the market with these fake artists that put out garbage, so that people start to look in the wrong places, for what real art is, and they miss the messaging. But you know what? Real art always breaks through. Real art is like the weeds or like the grass that's under concrete that always manages to break through, or like a tree maybe that always manages to break through that concrete. We got Grass. Grass says he's uptown right now. Sorry, bros, might not be able to make it. Don't worry about it, bro. Like I said, everybody's welcome to come on or not. Oh, we got Roots Calhoun out here. Hey, Roots, we just played your song. Big shout out to Roots. Thanks for dropping by, bro. That song is amazing. So we're pumped about that song. Everybody loves it. Big shout out, big thank you to you for making that song. Everybody go follow not Roots Calhoun, because that is Roots Calhoun. All right, let's fucking go. Okay, good. All right, the thing that I wanted to talk about real quick, not real quick, but the thing that I wanted to discuss is the concept of goal machines, okay? Now, goal machines, you're like, what the hell is that? And there have been studies. Oh, I gotta get out of the way of that chat. Okay, there we go. There have been studies about goal machines. Okay, now the best kind of goal machine that I can bring to your mind is the goal machine of somebody who's a gambler, right? That's a goal machine. And then, you know, you can, once you understand that, you can see, oh, okay, well, all addicts are then obviously goal machines, right? And they're all pushed to the limit of being a goal machine. Like if you find a heroin addict, all they're going to do, they're going to work for 18, 19 hours a day to steal stuff, to get, you know, the pipes out of, the copper pipes out of buildings, whatever. They're always looking around to see how they can scratch together the $20 to go ahead and get their next bag of heroin or whatever. You know, that goes for all drugs, right? And so you got also gamblers. You know, gamblers are always looking, always thinking about gambling, always thinking about gambling. Another good example is, you know, pickup artists. You guys heard about this, you know, the whole pickup artist community and how always be looking to open a girl, and you're always thinking about all these words and all this stuff and all these lines and all this demonstration of value to pick up this girl. And whenever you see them, always be ready. And if you see a hot girl come in, you have to get up and you have to go over and do something. And so you're controlled by that goal. You have centered your life around that psychology of wanting to achieve this goal. And what happened is that in the 60s, I think, the government started doing a tremendous amount of research on how to access goals within people, you know. And it's not like goals like, say, for example, oh, I'd like to be a doctor one day, or I'd like to be a lawyer one day. But I'm talking goals that are inherent within the physiology, you know, our skin, our body. You know, we're hungry. We love dopamine, get a dopamine hit in our head. We love excitement because that dopamine rush. We're thirsty. We like to drink. We like sugar. We like salt. Things like this. They hack into and try to command or hijack the goals within every person in a subtle way, so you're not conscious of it, okay? And in the 60s, the 70s, and the 80s, there's a ton of research about goal machines. The government conducted, right, with rats, with people, all kinds of stuff. And you can look those up and find them. I could, you know, illustrate all of these details, but that's not going to help us in our conversation right now, because all you need to know is the government researched goal machines. Okay, and then the government deployed the social media, right? And you can even think about, they were rolling out these concepts when they rolled out the TV. They were doing early experiments with it. If you remember, none of us were alive then, but way back in the day when they had just the radio with H.G. Wells, they did War of the Worlds. And what War of the Worlds was, it was a radio show where they simulated an alien attack as if it were real and broadcast that over the radio in order to see what people would do. And people freaked the fuck out, right? And then they went ahead and made TV shows, and you know, they learned how to, you know, end on a cliffhanger so you come back, and they you know, put the commercials right next to a miniature cliffhanger within the soap opera or the show or the story or whatever. They intertwine, you know, how to have you buy merchandise, stuff like that. And that they're starting to access and understand how to hack into people and use the goal machine concept against them, right? They show, you know, fast food is a good example. You know, in all the commercials, the fast food looks fantastic, right? But when you go to actually buy the fast food, it doesn't look like that. Why is that? Well, it's because, you know, in the commercials when you're watching the fast food, it's not even real food. You know, it's other things. It's like a rubber that they spray, or a jelly, or a silicone burger. It's not a real hamburger. It's a piece of silicone molded to look like a hamburger, you know. And it's not real fries. The fries are plastic with a coating on them, and they spray a chemical so it glistens, you know. And so it's deceptive. So you're watching this commercial thinking that that's really what you're going to get, but it's all to hack into your goal of wanting that flavor of that salt, wanting that flavor of that, you know, the sugar from the Coke, mixing them all together, and it tastes so good. And that's what they're doing. Well, they've started even with video games. You know, obviously within video games, it's a goal, right? You're playing a video game to achieve a goal. And then within video games, they started making smaller goals within goals to try to control or change your behavior. You know, they have loot boxes now within video games that it's basically gambling. And then they call it a loot box so they can get around being able to gamble, because you can't gamble. And of course, all of this is marketed to kids, you know, fucking like 4 years old and up, right? It's fucking wild. So they got all this going on. And then social media. Social media was the next big escalation of creating goal machines. And it was really the rollout at scale of making people goal machines. And, you know, like, for example, Instagram really hit women hard, right? Because now women can post a picture of themselves and get, like, you know, 300,000 likes on a picture and then feel really good about themselves. But it's the program telling them that, you know, they got 300,000 likes. And so they imagine 300,000 people, men, out there telling them, yo, babe, you look hot, right? But they don't really know that 300,000 men did that, right? Because it could be bots, it could be fake, it could be whatever. Much like the stock market, you know, it's like that, you know, in Wolf of Wall Street when he's the main character, Leonardo DiCaprio, sitting there with Matthew McConaughey, and they're talking about it. And he says the whole trick is to keep people rolled over into the stock market. You know, if they make money, you roll them into the next thing. If they don't make money, then you roll them into something that's going to make them money. And all the while, when they're sitting there watching their graph go up and down, they're thinking they're making money in their psychology, right? In their psyche, they're thinking, wow, I just made all this money. But they don't have it, right? It's not in their account. It's out there in the ether somewhere. And he calls it like it's all fugazi, right? It's all fake. It's all fairy dust. Because it's not real money. It's the psychological representation in their mind of what they think that they have. It's not real. They don't even have it. They can't even touch it. If they wanted to go liquidate it, they'd have to, you know, do a whole bunch of trades or whatever and liquidate their position to be able to move that money into their account, pay all kinds of taxes. But the job of the broker, the stockbroker, is not to let them do that. To get them to roll that money into something else. So their money is then going to stay perpetually in the stock market, but all they're watching is the graph, and they're getting a dopamine hit off of that graph. So do you see how disconnected from reality now you become? Because that graph can change your psychology, it can change your mood, it can change your attitude, no matter how it moves. No matter if it's a real movement or a fake movement, no matter if, you know, Trump sends out a tweet and it crashes and then everybody loses a ton of money or whatever, and then he sends out another tweet and it goes straight up and everybody makes a whole bunch of money because crypto's back, baby. You know, and it changes people. It changes how you do things. Now you're always on your phone scrolling. You know, that family time that you used to go out and do woodworking with your daughter, or you play catch with your son, that's gone because you're making money for your family. You're not really making money for your family. You're stealing time from your family because your goal center has been hijacked by this fantasy. And it goes back to what we were talking about when I was talking about gamblers. We have all been converted to gamblers. Well, not all of us, you know, some of us maybe not. But and the reason why I say that is because everybody has fallen in love with the illusion of, I don't know, if I just buy this coin, if I just stay a little bit longer, if I buy more of this, maybe I'll be a millionaire because other people have been millionaires, right? Well, I'll watch this graph. I'm going to figure this out. You know, I'm smart. I've got an inside track or whatever. You don't have an inside track. The people who have an inside track are like Barron Trump, who made $80 million in 2 hours. Okay, those are the people with the inside track. You got me? And hey, if you are Barron Trump and you're watching this stream right now, give me a bump, bro. Come on, I need more subs. I need more likes. So Barron Trump, come on to my stream. We'll have a talk about it. It'll be awesome. Okay. But you know, it's like these inside people. Okay. First, there has to be an illusion that you can win. You have to be sitting at that slot machine and you have to think, oh, with the next pull, oh, with the next pull, oh, with the next pull. And that's when your goal mechanism gets hijacked with a fantasy. You've been hijacked with the fantasy. And before you know it, you're like, you know, 50, 60 pulls in and you haven't won. And then all of a sudden, they win, right? All of a sudden you win to lure you back in, just right when that fantasy is getting ready to be broken, right? You just spent 50 bucks, you lost 50 bucks each pool. All of a sudden you win, you get $15 back. You're like, oh, well, shit, okay, I got $15 back. I might as well spend that $15. And that $15 stretches back into 50, back into 60, back into 100. And then right when you're getting ready to leave because you're $200 down, you win. You win 50 bucks back, right? And so you go up and down, but you trend down over the long run. And that's what happens. That's how they bleed your energy. That's how they bleed your resources. That's how they bleed your money. And that's how they bleed your time. They control your focus. Because the real meat and potatoes of what I'm talking about right now is that every person is a goal machine. Okay? And whether you like it or not, you can't deny it. You're a goal machine. I'm a goal machine. I got goals. But the big deal is you have to control what your goal is. Because where your attention goes, your energy flows. And that's the life that you build. Okay? So you want to have your attention go to things that are going to make your life build. That are going to make, your life better. The life better for your family and your friends. Now, say, for example, you're a professional gambler, right? Maybe a professional poker player. And maybe you win like $2 million, right? And maybe your lifestyle is that you go around the world or whatever, and you're a professional poker player. And you have ups, high highs, and low lows, right? One week you could be down $3 million. The next week you could win $1 million, whatever, right? You got to ask yourself, that's great, but what kind of life is that for the people that I love? What kind of life is that for my family? That's great. How can you build any kind of stability operating that way? The only way you can build stability like that is if you're the house, the casino. The casino is the only stable winner in all of this. And not only that, but they keep changing the rules. Like the NBA, right? They're cheating like a motherfucker, right? Also, if you say you're winning at a sports book at a casino, you win too much, they kick you out. What does that tell you? Okay? And so you take that abstract, that concept of, even if you start to win a lot, then they put a carte blanche, they stop it. They're like, you're done. They kick you out. And that's the way it is with other things. With other things across the board. Okay? So the real maturity comes when you learn how to take control of your own goal center. Right? And you center that around what gets you excited, and you create a feedback loop to build back into your own life. And that's what I'm trying to do with my 30-day challenges. That is it in a nutshell. I'm trying to, not only for myself, but for whoever watches, trying to help build that within you so that you get excited about the constructive things that are in your own life, and you can build them. Okay? Now, maybe you want to be really wealthy. How many people are really wealthy and still miserable? Okay? Now, I'm not saying you can't be really wealthy, because it's good to be really wealthy. But I'm saying that brings with it a whole mess of other issues and other problems. And you got to be ready for them. Okay? You can't let the fact that maybe you're super wealthy and maybe you have all of these things that want to dictate your time because they're attached to something that has a really big revenue stream. Okay? Well, that's going to destroy your family life. Okay? You got to be aware of that. If that's something that you're okay with, and maybe you don't want a family, well, then that's fine. But what I'm saying is you got to be aware with it. You can't let something else hijack your goal machine and not be aware with it, because then you're a slave to that other thing. You got me? Hell, that could be the woman in your life, right? Maybe she's only with you because maybe you are wealthy right now, and she's like, bleeding you fucking dry, and you think it's love, but it's not love because you're living in a fantasy. And she's working you like that, Or maybe it's the man in your life, and he's faking a future. Oh, baby, just don't worry, we'll have this, we'll have that, blah, blah, blah. Well, I mean, hey, how much time are you going to waste on that? That's the big question. You know what I'm saying? So, that's kind of what I wanted to talk about with gold machines. And the main reason I wanted to talk about it is to make you guys aware of it. Because once you're aware of what's going on, the illusion is shattered. And you can start to see these things, these dynamics in your life. And you can start, putting your energy into your own garden. instead of letting somebody else steal your energy for their garden. And then they build up their garden and it looks all nice and you're like, okay, great. Am I going to get some of that? And they're like, fuck no, you're not. Go get out of here. Be gone. I've used you and I've discarded you now. Go figure out your own shit. And you're like, but I put 20 years into this company. But I was here when we started this comic book or, this video game or whatever. And they're like, well, I never signed a contract. Get the fuck out of here. That's a huge betrayal. Let's avoid those things, okay? Let's avoid those betrayals and let's be successful for our own selves, okay? Now, this is kind of a crass concept, but, I know that I'm an empathetic person. I know probably everybody out there watching is empathetic, okay? And I've always said this. As an empathetic person, I'd much rather have my boot on somebody else's neck than have their boot on my neck. The reason being is because I know I will render mercy when it is due. I know that I will render mercy, but I can't guarantee mercy will be given to me. You see what I'm saying? So think about that. Be proactive in your life. Don't be reactive in your life as much as possible. And I know it's all a journey and everybody, we're all taking steps to get there, but I'm just trying to come alongside you and say, hey, think about this. This is something that I've thought about a lot and I've tried to figure out a lot too, all the way back from my day of when I became an engineer. I became an engineer because I didn't want to be poor. I grew up poor. I didn't want to be poor, so I became an engineer so I wouldn't be poor, so I could help my family out, so I could help my brother out, and I did those things. But then when it came time for me to be happy, I wasn't happy. I made the goal. I reached where I wanted to reach. I was at the finish line and I was looking around and I said, how the fuck did I get here? You know what I'm saying? How did I get here? So that's what I'm trying to communicate to you. Now I'm going to look back in the chat and see how we're doing out here. Take a break. Take a little swig of my, we got Marge right here. We got Marge going on. Take a little swig of this. And then maybe see if we can't fire up these guys over here. Pull a couple of these people in, see what we got going on over here, okay? It might take me a minute to figure this all out. This is the first time I'm doing it, so ride with me, people. Hell, we already 1 for 1 with technical glitches today. We overcame that thing and did no problem. All right, okay, we got James out there. James, we're going to do it on Discord, buddy. We're not going to do a link. Now, I'm going to figure out how to do the Zoom thing so I can drop links to people or that Stream Ninja or whatever, but I just didn't get that pulled together. All right, Pat says, that's why a lot of wealthy folks self-delete. Pat, you're 100% right. How many people do we know that we scratch our head because they say, hey, bro, you've got everything. And what they say back to us is, yeah, I have everything and I'm still miserable, okay? So that's 100% facts, Mr. Jeeky out there says, just this season. How you doing, buddy? The NFL has had 4 games where the losing... We'll pull that up. Hold on, where we go. The NFL has had 4 games where the losing team came back from 5 possession deficit. That's 30-plus points in the final quarter. All gambling is bullshit. Completely agree. Like, I remember those... Bro, it's like it's scripted, and it is scripted. And people have talked about how the NBA is scripted. People have talked about how, like, the NFL is scripted. And they script these narratives of this timeline over the whole season to try to, like, put certain teams forward and other teams back. Do you guys remember back when the Browns all of a sudden were good, and they were good that season so that they could generate money to build a new stadium, and then after that they sucked again? I mean, like, everything is for a reason, It's crazy, It's like another good example is when the Chargers they traded away Drew Brees because he got injured, and then they brought Phillip Rivers up, and then Drew Brees was in New Orleans and he ended up winning the Super Bowl. I remember that, and when they were betrayed Drew Brees like that, that really pissed me off. And that was kind of the last time I even watched football. Let's see, we got Carrie C out there. Wish YouTube let me know you was on. Sorry about that, Carrie. Next time, I'll try to do a little earlier. I wake up pretty much on Saturday and then try to get my wits about me and then start to stream, and try to get it going. But we just go ahead and do that, Let's see here. The milk they use on cereal boxes is just glue. True. All right. Yeah, cereal is another great example. Cereal was made, it's just sugar. And it's actually terrible for you. It's terrible for kids. And whoever came up with sugar, not sugar, but cereal, is doing everybody a disservice. As a matter of fact, Like, you know, you shouldn't even have a breakfast. But they came up with the breakfast, the all-American breakfast back in the day, to sell more of the poultry and more of the meat and more of, you know, pancakes and stuff like that. And it's bullshit. You know, it's just like engagement rings. It's the same concept. The diamonds, right? Diamonds have no value. They're only, you know, the only value they have is perceived value. And now women want you to spend like the amount for a down payment on a house, on a ring, or you don't love me. I mean, like, women, you know, don't get me wrong, I be loving women, but women are crazy, dog. Women are fucking crazy, and I think we're going to talk about that on Wednesday with James and the other bruvs probably, as we get that taken care of. We're going to have a good time on Wednesday. Let's see what else we got. Okay, fantastic. All right, let me see if I can't pull up the guys. Let's see what they're all doing in the Discord. I gotta fire up my Discord. Sorry about that, fellas. So I got my Discord file fired up. Let me see if I can't go in here. We got anybody in the voice room. If you guys want to jump on the stream, come on in the voice room on the Discord. James, jump in the voice room or whatever. Otherwise, I'll just give you a direct call and try to add people. I'll figure that out, how to do that. But, John, yeah, go in the Discord on the server. Jump right in on the, we got on the room 1. Pat, you don't have to be in there unless you'd like to be on stream, and you're more than welcome to be on stream. But, you know, I wanted to try and make this more interactive for people. If people want to jump on in here and have a conversation. And have a little talk. So, you know, I want to make it more fun, more interactive. You know, I'm sure like people don't just want to hear me flap my gums all the time. Okay, so I'm gonna come down here and I'm gonna try and see if this works. So hold on with me, people. We're gonna jump down in here. I'm gonna come up here to Discord. We're gonna see. Hold on, let me get back here to just chatting real quick. I'm gonna come down here to Discord. Go in here to join the voice. We got a couple people in here. Let me get rid of this. All right, let me share my camera. Okay, we got a couple people in there. All right, cool. All right, got John on here. Got James. Now, hold on, guys. Let me pull you guys up. Just chatting. All right, Pat. If you're more than welcome to be in here, like I said, and anybody can share their video or not share their video. I don't require you to be on screen. That's not really a big deal. It's just if you want to have a conversation. Okay. So we got right here. We come down here on my Discord. Give me a second. We're going to pull this up real quick. Discord right here. Got to change this over to Discord Fresh Air. I might have to reshape this up a little bit. There we go. Going like this. And like I said, I'm going to try and get Zoom or that Ninja link so that we can have people in here. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
We got the guys on here. Maybe I didn't share my audio, but here we go. We got the guys on there. All right. Are you guys? Can you guys hear me on there? Okay. Did I share everything? Let me get my ears on.
Good.
All right, can you guys hear me? James, good to see you. How you
Yeah.
doing? John, good to see you. How you doing?
Oh,
Pat,
good.
Pat, good to see you. How you doing? All right, fantastic. Oh, Pat,
Took
okay.
off.
No, Pat, you're welcome to come on if you'd like. If you don't want, you're also welcome not to be on too. James, how you doing? What you up to? I heard you were at dinner, bro. What's going on?
Rushing through dinner.
How was that? What'd you have for dinner? Was it any good? That's what the chat wants to know.
Look, this is going to be going on Threads. A nice little picture. So what you got to do, you got to get over there and follow me.
Okay,
You know, we've got to boost these numbers.
on Threads, or you're on Threads?
Yeah, get over there. I've had a lovely bowl of pasta
Okay.
and stuffed mushrooms.
That sounds pretty good. Now, what's your name on Threads so everybody can go follow you?
Oh, come on. At James Domenico, grab them. Come
Well,
on.
we have
Play
we
the
have,
game.
Well, we have to
Play the
say it
game.
we have to say it every time because who knows if the people who are watching, are familiar or not. Maybe we got new people. Yes. All right. John, how you doing? What are you up to today, John? You're over there in Miami. Is it sunny? Is it
Hi.
raining? What's going on?
It's nice out actually. It's warm but not hot. Last night it got down to 69 degrees. Nice.
Yeah, I know
you
the
know,
weather's changing over there right now. Is it starting to get cooler?
Yesterday was actually the day before yesterday was actually the first day. I
Oh,
like it.
really? The first day was like hot before that. Now it's starting to get cool again?
Yeah. Well, we go through patches. We'll have like a cold front where it'll get cold everywhere else and it'll be nice and cool here. And then once in a blue moon, we'll get to like once a year or 2 times a year we'll get into the 40s maybe. And then
Okay,
maybe
okay.
like once every 5 years we might hit the 30s, and then like once every 10 years we'll hit like upper 20s. But that's
Yeah, yeah.
about it.
Yeah, and I know, James, it's raining up there where you're at, isn't it? It's like starting to get terrible.
It's miserable. It's absolute shit, mate. Proper depression. If you've got that seasonal depression thing, mate, it's over for you. You ain't going to make it out of the autumn and winter. Might as well just give it up as a lost cause.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Now, is this the first time you guys are meeting, James and John? So, that's awesome.
Yeah, definitely.
this is
It's
a
the
really-
first time on stream with
This
him.
is a good vibe, isn't it? You've got the artist, you've got someone who's extremely intelligent, and you've got a big mouth dumbass. So this is kind of like a really good makeup.
Wait, why are you calling me a big mouth dumbass? I don't understand. I thought we were friends.
I just come in here to start fighting people.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Now, what do you got? Now, I was talking about goal machines today, and I was talking about, other things hijacking the goals of your life. Do you guys have any examples, or what are your thoughts on that? John, we'll go to you first, and we'll go to James.
I thought that was a very good way to put it. Gold machines. That's the first time I've heard that terminology, and I think we've all kind of, even if you're a person that's very aware of things that are going on, I can see we all have things that have been pushed onto us that have kind of turned us all into goal machines. Even if it's not like this goal is the one end all be all goal, there's always like little goals that we get pushed towards, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that definitely is a great terminology. It's the first time I heard it and I loved it. I woke up a little while ago because I was working all night, but I woke up, I saw that you were on, and then I heard you start talking about goal machines, and I was like, whoa, that kind of sparked an idea.
Yeah, yeah, fantastic. James, do you have any thoughts on it?
Well, we discussed this, didn't we? About we were talking about how if it wasn't for my parents, where would I be? And
Yeah.
I've got from the age of 18 to 30, I didn't really have any goals or focus. I was just basically a very self-destructive personality. Live for the moment, go out partying, drinking, birds. You know what I mean? The only person that ever has really got in my way is me.
Yeah.
The only person that's ever blown up my life is me. I'm the problem in my life. You know what I mean? Because I don't know whether it's the Grabhams or the Coccaraccios, but it's a bad mix of blood. You know what I mean? Where I've got that very confrontational nature that where you should bite your tongue and walk away, but I've never been able to bite my tongue and walk away. So if anything goes bad in my life or I don't attain the goals, it's always lays on my doorstep. It's never been anyone else's.
Yeah, I agree with that. Now, can you see how, really you have to give consent for somebody else to access your goal machine, basically? And the world or the companies or whoever's out there, the NFL, the NBA, Oreo cookies, they've all have these strategies to try to take a little bit of who you are all the time. Or do you think, John, what do you think?
Definitely. Well, I think it's really good what James just said, because he says, I'm the only one that's ever gotten in the way of my life. I'm the only one that's ever been my own problem. But that's everybody. That's we're all, barring something crazy, like someone hits you with their car and then you're like a quadriplegic or something. Barring something crazy like that, all of our problems are self-created and falling into habits that keep us in a bad spot. But also what he said, he has always lived for the moment. That kind of triggered something in my head, because it's important to live in the moment, but not only live for the moment, right? and I think that that's a good distinction that people should try to make.
James, you have any thoughts on that? You're like, fuck you,
Well,
bro.
I think we're all. No, but I think we're all products of our environment, aren't we? Really.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know how it is for you, but if you come from, say, you come from South London, you're very different in your makeup to someone who comes from Chelsea. You have someone who could have all the opportunities in the world, and then you could have someone who comes from my area that never has an opportunity. So you'll find that the people that generally have all the opportunities in the world, they blow it, but they keep getting more opportunities. Whereas if you come from a snatch and grab environment like mine, if you don't take the first opportunity you get, your life's fucked. You've
Yeah.
got to grab it with both hands and hold on to it and not lose it. But if you let it slip for a second, or you get off your game for a bit, or you let life and circumstances get in your way, you're going to go straight back down to the bottom. Because it's always, you got to crawl up. But if you're at the top or the middle to start off with, you'll just keep getting afforded chances because of your connections or your family or your affluence or your wealth. So I look at it from a person that's come from nothing, and it's hard to kind of vibe with people that have had everything handed to them. That's how I see it anyway. It's very hard, different people, different circumstances.
Yeah, now I want to make sure that I yield the floor to you guys. So you guys are more than welcome to jump in and whatever, and I'm just going to yield it to you because I've already talked for an hour. But what I was going to say isn't it interesting that really when you become awake, when we all wake up, we realize that being a victim is how we stay a slave, because you have to understand that when you take responsibility and agency for your goal machine, that thing that drives you through life, when you take responsibility of it, you can drive anywhere you want. But as long as you believe that you're a victim, you can't do anything. You can't drive anywhere. Other people will then drive for you. John, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, yeah, definitely. And like I said, I think it's something that most people aren't aware of, even those of us who are kind of awake to a lot of things. We get an idea in our mind of I want to get this thing or accomplish this, any goal that's not something that's in the purity realm, right? And I think that we get pushed by media and by the people around us who are pushed by media. Like you said, the girls who are on Instagram who are not sure if the people on the other side are bots or people, but also the people who then see the posts and see how many likes and the crazy comments that you see all the time, because you see all these, I'll eat a mile of that shit to just to see where it came from, right? The guys who are seeing these bot comments then start to think that's a real thing. So yeah, I think even people who are even a bit aware can get pushed pretty easily towards being goal machines.
Especially when you put a lot of money behind it, when you put when you highly incentivize it, like you see these people driving Lamborghinis or something like that, then everybody wants to jump on, and it seems like everyone's standards go by the wayside in order to participate in that lifestyle, in order to be on the yacht. What do you think, James?
Look, I wish they'd send some of those fucking likes my way. That's what I wish they'd send. I wish they'd send a bit of that clout my way. I wish they'd send a few of those followers my way. I tell you, I'll fucking, I'm desperate for them. Send them my fucking way, mate. I'll take them all. And send all your fucking bots over as well. I want to have that I want to have that artificial inflated ego. Now, look, the thing about it, we're going to talk about it on Wednesday, aren't we? But if I look at it through the prism of women, a lot of my life has been through the prism of trying to attain women. I see a woman in a bar, I want her. And I said to you, I think I've said it in when we were in DMs, I said, if the worst thing that happens in your life is a woman tells you to fuck off, then you're grand, mate. Because there's always going to be another woman. There's always going to be another job. There is always going to be another opportunity. What you've got to be stoic. And I'm incredibly arrogant. So I'm not going to I'm an arrogant person. But I've always been there's always a next time. Until I'm dead, there will always be a next time for something. You know what I mean? We've always got a chance to do it over, do it right. Like I said, with the living in the moment and that. I just try and if I get knocked down, try and get back up straight away. You know, don't like you were saying, don't wallow in self-pity. Don't feel sorry for yourself. Don't be a victim. Grab the ball by the horns. If you've got to punch a fucker in the face, punch him in the face. If you've got to move forward, just take what you want, take what's yours. And because there's that thing in there. Have you ever seen The Departed at the start where they have Frank Costello's character, Jack Nicholson, and he says to a little collie, he says, no one gives it to you. You have to take it, non-serviam. You know what I mean? And he goes, James Joyce, good collie. You know what I mean? That's the kind of he was a gangster. He did terrible things. He took it. You know what I mean? He was a victim, and then he was someone who victimized. You know what I mean? He kind of like he changed his life around. And yeah, he was a criminal, but that's the type of personality. Those A1 personalities, isn't it? Those, you know, that personality where they just like they see something and they take it and fuck the consequences.
Well, and that's the truth because, you know, a lot of people want to believe that our world is, you know, nice and order and all that kind of good stuff. But there is a backbone. We've talked about this before, the whole dark money concept. The backbone of what runs a lot of our society are people like that. You know, they're like the cluster B type personalities that you say what you want about them. They get things done. They take it for themselves. They fight for it. They put everything on the line to attain it. And they know what they're going for. And so I think that if a lot of people aren't on that level, aren't aware, you know, you don't have to be a psychopath to do this, but you have to understand that you want to give 100% of yourself to your goal. And you want to go ahead and jump all in. You know, and we talk a lot about sports. You know, even now that sports is rigged, I know that, James, didn't your team just win a soccer tournament or trophy?
Yeah, we won the FA Cup, we won the Community Shield, we won a game today, we won a game 2-0. I support Crystal Palace from South London, and you have to understand that Crystal Palace are a small club, but they've always bounced from like the top two divisions. But for the last decade, they've been rising and they've been rising. But you know, when you get that moment in life, we've been talking about this. Crystal Palace were always a middle of the road team. They finished 10th or 12th. You know, they were never going anywhere. They were never going to win a trophy. But then we got the right sporting director. We got the right manager. We got the right players in. And then you get that absolute peak moment where everything's going in the right direction and we had a bit of luck and wind behind our sails. And suddenly we're a successful team. And now people want our manager. They've taken our sporting director. He's in Saudi Arabia now, making millions of pounds. Good luck to him. You know, people want all our players. And they're not just talking about buying them for small amounts of money. We've got people like Adam Walton, who when we sell him, will go for £100 million. You know, and then that will help us regenerate and build the squad again. So it's all that kind of like, that moment, we seized that moment. We saw our moment and we seized it. And another thing, like you were talking about today, I saw, like, we have this newspaper called The Sun, and you were talking about people that are victim and victimizers. You know, we've got a problem with illegal migrants, and you're talking about the black economy and dark money. Well, they've gone into the black economy, and they're being abused by a group of Middle Eastern jippos. And what they're doing, they're working them as slaves, and then they're taking all their money, they're taking all their benefits, they're keeping them in this house as slaves. They're modern day slaves. So even though they're illegals and they shouldn't be in the country, they're actually being victimized once they get here and being turned into like slaves and abused for their work and having their money taken from them. So that new life that they illegally thought they were going to get over here has turned into a horror and a nightmare. Dude,
facts. John, how do we get a hold of our goal machines in our life? What are your thoughts on that?
Man, it's difficult. You know, it's going to take a lot of awareness, self-awareness, really getting down to the root of what you yourself want. That isn't something that's been pushed from outside of you.
That's a great point.
You know, you were saying earlier that there's the people that take advantage of the people, right? Did you hear about the thing that just came out about OnlyFans?
No, what happened with OnlyFans?
So apparently, as far as like how many employees they have, their company generates the most revenue per employee out of any company. For every, not counting the girls because they're not employees, they're contractors or whatever.
Okay, yeah, 1099.
For each employee that they have, they profit $156 million. I saw this yesterday or the day before.
Wow.
Yeah, it just came out. And, you know, they do that by pushing this goal to the girls. Oh, you're going to strip down and make a whole lot of money. And most of the girls go on there, show their buttholes, and maybe make $20.
Isn't that
Ever.
crazy?
Yeah. And so most of the girls, they're just being sold a dream. And then the company itself is killing everything. And the girls are making nothing in comparison. Even the you know, the bigger OnlyFans girls, like the celebrities that go on there, and they're not making shit in comparison to what the company makes per employee. None of those
Yeah.
girls are making 156 million.
Wow, OnlyFans, yeah, they're the real pimp, and you could see the game that they're playing. What they do is they establish one of their success stories. You know, look at so and so who made $1 million in one night, and then they set that up, and that's what they use to advertise. That's exactly what casinos use. Oh, look at, you know, in the commercials, we have the guy that wins, blah blah blah. But if you actually win, they kick you out. If you actually win sportsbook, they stop you from going. You get banned from the casino. Same thing with the OnlyFans. Where are all these? Where's all this money going? It's going to the pimp, the OnlyFans. It's taking all of the energy, all of the resources, ruining the reputation of these women, and giving it right to OnlyFans because they got a whole new batch coming up in another 6 months, in another year. James, what do we do about all this? What do you think?
Are you familiar with that little weasel? Are you familiar with a guy called Jack Doherty?
Yeah.
Jack Doherty, that's the former
The-
Twitter head, right?
Yeah, the streamer. Yeah.
Yeah, no, he's a streamer. You look him up, Jack Doherty, or he's this little friggin' weasel, right?
You want the puffy hair.
But
with the
his
puffy
life,
hair.
he's friends with the geezer who Marshall always picks on, the bald guy who thinks he's an alpha male.
Oh.
He's got a tattoo on his head.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
He's big tattoo. But they're
Yeah,
what
that
you're
big
talking
rip
about.
guy.
Was their life goal, right, when they were growing up, to become a modern day pimp? Because that's what they do, don't they? They do.
Yeah.
You know the girlfriend scam. Are you familiar with the girlfriend scam? They
No.
find the girls, don't they? The good-looking girls. They go, oh, you're going to be my girlfriend. You're going to be the live in the house, and then they slowly wean them doing more stuff, don't they? Oh, you know, we'll do pictures, and then we'll do bra and panties, and then we'll take our clothes off. And eventually they got them doing full porn with, you know, what are those two weirdos, those incestuous the Island Boys? They do all
Oh,
weird
yeah.
shit with those Island Boy guys, those two gay weirdos, you know, that kiss each other. You know, it's like that whole group. I mean, have you seen it when they go to the schools now? They go to the school. What do you want to be when you grow up? I want to do OnlyFans. I want to be a streamer. I want to do something. They don't want to get normal. They don't want to do like manual labour. They don't want to do jobs we need, do we? Like carpenters or, you know, mechanics,
Electrician.
you know, shit that's really helpful. They just want to be like, I'm going to go online, mate. I'm going to be an OnlyFans. I'm going to be a cam girl. You know, I'm going to do the old porn channels and all that. And it's like, that's their life goal. You talk about life goals. If you're an attractive bird now, that's the easiest way for them to make money, isn't it? All they need is a camera in their house. They don't really need to do anything, show a bit of flesh, and some of them are pulling down decent money. But like John said, some of them are pulling 20 quid for showing their dirty bum. Maybe they should wipe it before they go on screen.
No, it's the truth, and you have to consider for a moment what is the overall goal of what this entire track of society is. Like we're training the kids, we're glorifying these different things. No longer doctors, no longer engineers. That's the migrants that are coming in, right? They're the doctors and engineers. That's a joke, but no longer doctors, no longer engineers. But now they want to be famous people. And what is that? How is that going to shape our society in the next generation? It's like an alchemical process that's going to completely change our society. John, what's it going to look like?
It's not going to look good. I mean, it's by design. Look, TikTok in the States. It's all, not all, because our buddy's on there too, right? And
yeah, James is on there. He gets popped a couple of times, but he's on there, baby. Let's go.
But
twice.
Most of the TikTok in the Western world is like dance challenge bullshit and stupid like the most mindless brain rot stuff you can imagine. Then you look at what
Yeah,
TikTok in China is, and it's math and science and like educational stuff. And I think it's by design. Now, China doesn't own it anymore, so we'll see what happens with it now. It's probably just going to be bad everywhere.
Well, no.
Um,
China, maybe they sold their the global one. I doubt that they sold the one in China because the CCP owns everything in China, so they probably still
Yeah.
have that. They probably still shield themselves. But you're making some great points, John. Go on.
Yeah, well, I think it's by design. They push us to be dumber. They don't want, if anyone's gonna stand up and fight and have a chance against these people who rule the world from behind the scenes, it's the Western world that, has some level of awareness and education, and just the will to do it. They haven't been conquered physically for all of time, basically. But they're degenerating our society because they want people who are going to just be good little slaves. So eventually they eliminate us from the gene pool by, look at the birth rates, right? In the
Yeah.
Western world, we're all in free fall collapse. And the places that aren't modernized are all, on the opposite. They're on the up. They have 20, 30 children, who knows? And then they import them from that third world. Even James was joking and saying, "Oh, well, they brought in the Indians for doctors." There are a lot of Indian doctors that they bring over and engineers and stuff, but those aren't people who were brought up with the Western values. So they're bringing them over, paying them less, and then they push our society even further down. But those are the ones they want to do well in the world.
Right. That's how they change. Yeah, that's
I
how
couldn't
they.
hear you, James.
James, what did you say?
I just said, don't let the Indians anywhere near trucks.
No, they've already ruined that.
or trains, right? But the thing is that the trick is how do we do like what James is doing? Get on TikTok, get attention, even though he's been popped twice, and still say the message that's interesting, like to wake up, to stand up, to take control. James, how are you doing that? Share some thoughts.
Well, TikTok's a funny thing because I like like John says, TikTok is just a wasteland of twats, really. It's very vacuous, it's very vapid, but there is parts on it. It's kind of dark webbish. They have all, like, when it comes to organised crime, you know what I mean? You'll have gangsters on there, you'll have jippos, you'll have all kinds of off the boat psychos that'll be on there basically telling you that they're going to beat up or murder someone, and TikTok doesn't pop them. I showed a slight bit of nudity, you know what I mean, and then TikTok popped me twice.
Wait, nudity?
It's kind of like, yeah, it's a slight weird. It's like put the top off, and it's like, nah, they don't like that. It's just trying to get a bit of that attention that I crave. But
Yeah.
it's a very weird thing. And going back to what John was saying about China, the thing, because I'm big into organised crime and I follow all that stuff, I know for a fact that China are taking in a lot of, like, British criminals because they're getting booted out of the Middle East. They're getting booted out of Saudi Arabia. They're getting booted out of Qatar. So what they do is they're going over to China, and China says to them, we'll give you exile if you work against the Western world, i.e. if you flood the market with guns, you flood the market with drugs, if you can make the West worse, we will give you exile. You know what I mean? So you've got the Lions crew over there, you've got Tamil Junto, you've got the Kinahans. They're all moving from the Middle East they're going to China. And as long as they keep, flooding the market with guns, flooding it with drugs, ruining communities, ruining like areas in Ireland and Scotland and in England and the West, the China are like, yeah, you can come over here and stay as long as you like. So I wouldn't be surprised if they're using TikTok because it's just a wasteland. But like I said, I wanted to go on all the platforms that I could to try and boost what you're doing and what we're doing, because you might as well put the feelers out there, mightn't you? You might as well give it a bash. What's the worst that can happen? Like I said, I've been popped twice, but I've won appeals, so that's all right. But it's just social media. I don't really understand it because I think we're all like Main Street guys, and it can sometimes be a bit. It's not daunting because nothing's daunting like that, but it's just a bit. It's like, fucking hell, you've got to put a lot of effort in to get hardly anything back. It's like you're putting so much effort. I'm doing video, and I'm like, God, it's barely got 1,000 views. It's like, and then you start being like one of those internet twats, don't you? Counting your views and all that shit. It's like, please,
They're
I'm
pushing you to
turning
be
in,
a
I'm turning,
machine.
yeah, you're turning into you end up turning into the person that you hate, and you end up doing the stuff that you never wanted to do in the first place because you're trying to like boost stuff, aren't you? I want to get bigger. I need to spread the word. I need to get it out there, and it's like it's a vicious circle, isn't it? You know, it really beats you down after a while. It's like,
Yeah.
oh fuck, do I
Yeah.
have to? Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
suppose I will.
Yeah, that's why you have to, I completely agree with you. And I think, like, you get captured by that algorithm. But, fundamentally, you have to enjoy what you do. And, like, I do that all the time. I catch myself thinking, oh, I'm doing these 30-day challenges and, I need more people. But then I'm like, fuck it. I'm doing art. I'm learning how to do this video stuff. And that's good anyway. And I try to, mentally block myself from the views. Of course, I want 100,000 views. Of course I want 1 million views. And maybe I'll just go ahead and hire a couple of girls to come on behind me in bikinis and we'll make that happen. Right? That's kind of how you got to do it. You got to jailbreak it like that. You got to use the goal machine against them. I'll go ahead and get, if we can, make some money on whatever, maybe grow some cocaine or poppy fields or whatever, send it over to James. Let James hire like, 10 or 15 of these bikini models to run behind him as he's talking in his video. That would do it. But that's how it is, right? It's crazy like that. John, what do you think?
Oh, yeah. I mean, look at the people who get a lot of attention, right? Andrew Tate. That guy's huge. He's bombastic. He shows all the flash. He plays that goal machine game, right? He uses it against them. He knows what sells. Then he puts it in there. And whether you agree with his message or not, his message gets out there. I agree with a lot of things he says. I disagree with some things he says. Everyone's a mixed bag. But, love him or hate him, the guy knows how to get his message out there. And there's a lot of people that, online that some do it because they see other people do it and they're just following a formula, whether they know it or not. Other people are actively manipulating the whole system to get their message, blown up like he does.
Right. We see that, if you guys follow the case of that Johnny Somali guy over there in Korea, who's he used to be that outrage streamer guy and go into other countries and do crazy, stupid stuff. He got kicked out of Japan, and then now he's in Korea, and like he's on trial. He's gonna like probably serve 12 years in jail for doing things in Korea. James, have you seen this guy?
Yeah, I think I'm familiar with him. Not as much as other people. But quickly going back to what John says, I think a lot of thing is the mainstream media make these people bigger than what they are because they turn them into these bogeyman figures, don't they? I mean, in your country, they're always going on about Nick Fuentes, aren't they? Like yesterday, they were going on about him. And the mainstream media kick up a real big fuss about Nick Fuentes. And sometimes, if you just shut your mouth, certain people will go away. But they've made Nick Fuentes, the mainstream media, they've made him into this really big, really important person in our country, because even though Andrew Tate doesn't sound like he doesn't sound like me, he's got a weird accent. I don't quite know what's going on with that geezer's accent, but he's supposed to be British. I don't know if he is. I think, is he that British or something? I don't know. But they've done that with him in here. You take figures like Nigel Farage, they villainise them, and they villainise Andrew Tate, and they just make them bigger than what they would ever have been if you just kept your mouth shut and played the game. But we get this thing. He gets called a Nazi, doesn't he, Fuentes? Nigel Farage gets called a Nazi in our country. Andrew Tate is called a sex trafficker. Now, I don't know what Andrew Tate's done or hasn't done, but I don't think he's been convicted of anything yet. That Romania stuff kind of seemed to me like it was a bit of a stitch-up. You know what I mean? The European Union seemed to have their hand on that. We got this guy. How do we stop him? He's got influence, he's got power, and we want to strip and take that away from him. Like John was saying, he's a good-looking guy. He works out. He's flash. He's got all the birds. He's got all the cars. He basically does this to everyone, and everyone don't like it. So they thought, how are we going to bring him down? And they thought, didn't they, when they put him in that Romanian prison, they thought he would be a bitch. They thought he would flip, or they thought his brother would flip. And he came out looking like shit, didn't they? And everyone said he was dying of cancer. You know what I mean? They said, God, he looks terrible. He's dying of cancer. Well, he looks back on top to me now. You know, he's eating right. He's back in shape. And he's doing exactly what he did before you put those charges on him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I see. It definitely seems that way. John, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, even, you know, I like James said, I don't know what he did or didn't do. I know that it all looks bad. Look, they went after him. They put him in jail for like, what was it, a year or two? No charges. Then he finally gets on where you can stay home and not in jail. Then more stuff happened. He was finally able to leave the country. He came to the States, and then the U.S. government started fucking with him. Like the governor of Florida was like outright saying, "Oh, you're not welcome here. We're gonna find what you did." All this crazy stuff, and yeah, it doesn't look good for the system if the system is trying to get him and they can't, right? Like I said, I don't know what he did or didn't do. That's in the past anyway. He didn't do anything to me. If he did something, eventually they should have found it by now. But then you look at Nick Fuentes, like what James was saying, and it's kind of funny, right? Because before, when he was saying really egregious stuff, which you have a right to say whatever you want, but he would say things that would definitely get you banned on YouTube. And now he's like moderated his tone. He's not really saying all, you know, he's not openly praising 1930s German dictators. And now before they completely ignored him, pretended he didn't exist, wouldn't platform him whatsoever. And now he's getting platformed everywhere. And they're calling him Nazi and all this stuff now that he's moderated. So it's almost like now they have him under this control where, okay, we have all these old videos of you saying crazy shit. So now we can cut you off again if we want to.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Now, John, how do we succeed in our own life? How do we, like, I see Andrew Tate, I see Nick Fuentes, I see, you don't want to be captured by the algorithm, you don't want to be captured by your audience, but how do we make sure, what are your thoughts on how do we make sure that what we do, even if we don't, win the lottery or whatever and get to be super famous, because, 99% of the people will not be super famous. How do we win in our own life? How do we stay excited about our own life?
You do things you're excited about, like you like to paint. Look, even if you don't make any money at your videos, you would still paint.
Right? Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So do the things you like. James likes chasing the birds, right?
Yeah.
So as long as he's doing the things that make him happy, and he's, as long as you have enough money to live your life, not even necessarily in an extravagant way, but just to get through, have food on the table, have a roof over the head, and you're doing things that make you happy, then that's how you win.
James, what do you think? How do we make you a superstar, number one, and number two, how do you get excited? Like, what are you excited about?
I think you've got to live simple. But you've got to have ambition. The moment you don't have ambition, the moment you don't want to reach for the stars or climb the ladder or find new things of interest or attain those new goals, that's when you die. That's when it's over. You've got to wake up and you've got to want it. You know what I mean? There's got to be something out there. Because like I said, before me and you hooked up, I was in kind of a funk, COVID knocked me sideways because I was a sociable person and it just took the wind out of me. My dog, Simba, I was in a funk over him. I lost both my grandparents during COVID, not COVID related, but they were gone. And then you start getting morose and feeling sorry for yourself, and you start thinking heavy. Heavy thoughts come along. I think you just got to clear your mind. You've got to be focused on what you want and go out there and try and achieve it. Like I said, you're going to fail. Everyone fails at life. Everyone fails at things. When you do your painting, you probably think, oh, that didn't come out as well as I wanted. And then another day you go, Jesus, that come out better than I thought it was going to come out. And then you're up. Sometimes you're down. Sometimes you're up. You've got to be philosophical about life, but you've got to want it. When you get up at bed every day, you've got to have that fucking grit. And you've got to grab it by the fucking throat, man. That's all I can say. I'm not really, I'm not really a deep thinker. I'm not particularly philosophical about life or anything like that. I just think you've got to be hungry because, we're here for a short time, aren't we? We're not here for a long time. So make it count. And if you want that family life, find a woman, fucking settle down, get married, have your kids, have your grandkids, leave a legacy. Look at Kelsey Grammer. He's popping out kids in his 80s. He's got, what, 8 kids now? That
just had another
guy
one,
is
yeah.
super ambitious. You know what I mean? He's found a younger woman and he's had some more kids. Good luck to him. He's gonna leave a legacy, isn't he? He's gonna leave a legacy of 8 children. And maybe 2 or 3 of them will be really successful. And then Kelsey, he won't know it, but Kelsey Grammer will have left something, worthwhile.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, I couldn't have said it better myself, John.
I just wanted to add on to what he just said. Earlier he said you have to be stoic, and I agree, because life is going to come at you. All kinds of things are going to happen. Family members are going to pass. Friends are going to get sick. You're going to lose a dog. Things happen. It's life. You have to be stoic about it. And what he just said now, that you have to push for more. It's not. He said you have to be humble, but I agree. It's more that you have to be okay with if everything doesn't turn out the way I want it, to be okay with having the humble life. But you should want more for you and your friends and your family around you, your loved ones. You should want more, but be okay with it if it doesn't work out. I think it's a distinction, right? A little bit. It's the same message. It's just a little bit more added on, because you should want more, because that's going to be your driving factor.
No, I completely agree. And I think for men, being competitive is really important for men. And I think we should all be, like James said, wake up and grab it by the throat. And I was like, fuck yeah, that's exactly right. I think we have to be excited. We have to be stoked every morning. And like John said, you have to exercise, impulse control, and not allow the critical eye to beat you up and to wallow in it and to do all that, so that you can be ready to grab it in the throat tomorrow. And that's what we have to do. Now we're coming up on the hour, so we're gonna probably wrap it up soon. But is there something else you guys want to talk about? Think about it real quick, or what you got going on. And I'm really excited because I'm gonna do my Sunday Funday tomorrow. We're gonna do a little bit of that video, the cooking, and I got something going on tomorrow with eBay. We're gonna talk about cartoons that are what's the right word I'm looking for? They're irreverent cartoons. Cartoons that are satirical, that poke fun at things that are going on in society and all kinds of things like that. We're going to talk about Space Kings, all of these things that the pressures of society tries to push against us. Actually having a conversation like what we're talking about right now. And I know that, James, you're going to be doing some TikTok. You got threads going. Where can people find you and follow you, so that I want to make sure we get the people over to James, man. We want to support him.
TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, Threads, X. It's all at James Domenico. Grab 'em. If you want to follow me and you like what I've got to say, I'm kind of like interesting when I'm not being boring, doing other things. But I'll say some controversial stuff sometimes. This is what we were saying, weren't we? When did I wake up? When I realised I don't give a shit. You know what I mean? That I got called. We all get called racist now, don't we? If you're quite happy, like I am, I don't give a fuck that people call me racist now. They can call me anything. I don't give a shit about their opinion. I'm just going to do what I want to do with the people I want to do it. Like with this stream and going forward on Wednesday, and whenever we hook up again. We're going to have our say. We're going to do our thing. And I'm not going to worry about what other people say or do. And I'm going to find that grass. Whoever grasped me up to that old slapper, I tell you, I ain't happy about that. Whoever grasped me up in that chat, mate, I'm coming for you. I'm going to find you.
Yeah, whoever snitched on you. John, what are your thoughts? Where can people find you, John? I know you got a Third Royal podcast. Where can people find you?
Yeah, I'm getting started with that soon. I'm just working out some kinks on the OBS side, getting my layouts ready to go because it's been a while, and I'm kind of refreshing it a little bit. But Third Rail Politics on both YouTube and Rumble, and then on and that's all spelled out. And then on X, because I'm retarded, it's the number 3 RD Rail Podcast. I'm gonna change that. I need to change that and just make it all uniform, but that's what it is for now. If you guys follow Ray, he reposts and tags me all the time, so you'll find me.
I know. I'm always trying to find your, tag you, and I'm like, oh yeah, it's 3. I have to use the 3, and I'm like, damn it, So these guys are both great guys. James is always gotten me excited. The thing about James that I love is he gets right to the point, and he looks good doing it. I mean, he's got that sweater on, he's got the hat on, he looks good doing it. He sounds good when he says
Italian
it.
genetics.
Yeah, he sounds good when he says it. He sports his team, we got that loyalty. The thing I love about John is John's always has some really good thoughts that I didn't think about, and a very insightful person. So follow both of these guys for, they're a good mix, man. And both these guys are a good mix of excitement and deep thinking, and I love it. And we're going to jump off here in a little bit. Tomorrow I got that stream with eBay, and I'm also going to do a food thing, and so then we're going to start the whole week again. So I'm stoked. So thanks everybody for coming by. You guys stay there real quick. I'm going to talk to you as we jump out of here. And thanks everybody for coming by. And man, get after your weekend. Kick some ass this weekend. Let's fucking go. All right, let's fucking go.